Once again, this episode is being brought to you by Diesel Fuel Prints. Diesel Fuel has been in the business since 1991, and Andy has been printing all of my stickers since the early 2000s. He's been a guest on this show, and he's a friend and somebody I've worked with for a long time. So I can highly vouch for his business because I use it myself. Highest quality, weatherproof stickers, easy online ordering, and quotes on any size and shape sticker you can think of. Full color printing, and 125 black and white stickers start as low as $25. Free shipping on all orders at dieselfuelprints.com. And my listeners get a 10% discount if they use the promo code AWP 2021. Check out Andy and his stickers. He does a great job. Let's get to the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anyway Whatever podcast. I'm your host, Mike Fisher, as always, and today's guest is artist Joe Simko. Joe is one of the very few and kind of the main artist for the Garbage Pail Kids. He does all of, not just the card art, but he does like the board game stuff and the candy and soda, all the licensed stuff. He does the work for that as well. An amazing gig. Joe is a really, really cool guy. We've been connected through the illustration scene for about 20 years now. It's been fantastic watching his career grow. And I mean, you know, that Garbage Pail Kids illustration gig, I mean, that's a top of the mountain type of job. And it sounds like it's, you know, takes up all of his time and he loves it. And that's fantastic. And, you know, this episode 75, which is this week that I'm recording with Joe's episode will be out a little later. I also have on Johnny Sampson, who, you know, he's at Mad Magazine, and all of us came up together at the same time. And it's just cool to see people really have an amazing career at the heights of this industry. It's super cool. And I'm proud of Joe. And he's such a nice guy. You guys are going to love this episode, listening to him talk about his work and what he does. And yeah, I'm going to get you to that on the other side. All the links for Joe's stuff can be found in the description below, along with all of the, my Patreon. If you want to subscribe, it's very inexpensive and it's a really great way to help me pay for making this show. And I have merch below that also goes a long way to help support the show. And I appreciate all the support I get from everybody. A special episode note, Joe declined to be on video. So you're only going to see me, but you're going to hear us both if you are watching on YouTube. And it is not a problem for me. I know Joe felt weird about it, but Joe, it's fine. All right, everybody. Check out Joe Simko on the other side of the intro. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anyway Whatever podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike Fisher, and today's guest is Joe Simko. Most people would know Joe's work as he is the artist at Tops who does the Garbage Pail Kids, amongst a million other things. I was on your Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, like this is like parlayed back into Wacky packages and candy bars and all this other stuff. It's so cool.
Right. No, thank you. Yeah. I've definitely taken some twists and turns in my art career, but definitely a place where I've always wanted to end up and wind up doing. Yeah.
Yeah. We were chatting just a little bit before we started recording, and you were saying that you're originally from Pennsylvania. You've been in New York since you went to school. Where did you go to school in New York?
Well, I went to School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, and I took cartooning as my major. One of the rare schools that have that. There's a few good ones. I know there's the Joe Kubert School of Comic and Cartooning in Jersey, which is strictly just comic book art. But the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, they teach, I mean, it's everything. Fine art. I mean, essentially it began as an illustration and cartooning college. But there's everything, you know, mixed media, digital media, fine art, film, all the standard, you know, painting and courses you have to take to just go to that school. But I majored in cartooning, got a degree in cartooning, and all the the professors in the classes were coming from DC Comics, Marvel Comics, Mad Magazine, which is awesome. It's just incredible, getting all that, teaching from those professionals. Have the guy that co-created The Flash, Carmine Infantino from DC. He was like almost 80 years old when I had him back in 1996. So Joe Orlando, who worked at Mad Magazine, teaching us, all the basic stuff of like how to just, tell a story, and trying to like get a bunch of kids who are out of high school thinking that they could just draw comic books for a living. Like, there's a real job, there's a real aesthetic to working in that medium. It wasn't just drawing superheroes. It was how to tell a story. And that's what we were being trained in also, is story writing, how to write. So it's because it's a cool medium, comic books. It's, although it's not what I'm doing now, I have done it. Although I might be getting back into it, but comics it's not only drawing, it's writing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very similar to like film, because you have to know how to stage your shots. You have to know, there's a lot of that was really the thing that kept me from really getting into doing comic work, was that I didn't want to spend the time to develop that skill. I'm much more of like a skateboard graphics guy, or like a rock poster kind of guy, where I'm like, I want to tell the story in one image. You know what I mean? And it's like, I never really got into comic books that much. And partly because of that, because I didn't see that was where my career was ever going to go. Comic strips, maybe I could have seen myself doing, but I mean, as it pertains to the work you do for Topps for Garbage Pail Kids, did you learn all your painting skills at school, or are you a self-taught painter?
No, I was definitely learning a lot during school. Although I would say my color palette, most of what I know how to do today wasn't even so much from going to school, but was after I got out of college. Two jobs after college. One job after college was I was designing ties and men's neckwear. It was still art related, so I was happy enough to be able to stay in New York. But after that, like only a couple of years after that, I was doing storyboard designs for an in-house company in Manhattan for real television commercials, Subway sandwiches, Coca-Cola, all this stuff, and those were all in color markers. And so my sense of color came from the job that I had doing storyboard work, because it was so consistent. It was like, I got a, Monday through Friday job, but 9 a.m. till sometimes 1 a.m, all through the night, because it was advertising. So they just kept you late. So it was so consistently drawing and coloring more than I ever had in college. So it forced me to be like, like anything, it's a muscle. You do something every day, you got to get better at it at some point. So not that I'm better, I'm still learning, but it's, I got better than I was in college. And I think a lot of my color sense and just form of figure design helped out doing that stuff. Although sure. Garbage Pail Kids are just easier in a way, because they're just these chubby little pudgy cartoony kids and characters. Although there is a difficulty to them, because you have to get their design, the model correct.
Yeah.
To make it look like a Garbage Pail Kid. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how exactly did you find yourself in the position to be doing those? Was it like one of those things where like you did a couple and then it just grew into a bigger career from that? Or was it just like full blast from day one?
Right. Well, you're talking about with Topps and Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically submitted my own trading card concept to Topps, like in the mid 2000s, or it was like 2008 or so, of breakfast cereal parodies called Serial Killers. So it's not Ted Bundy or John Wayne Gacy. It's actual like Tony the Tiger and Captain Crunch mixed with famous horror films. I was like, hey, here's a trading card series I just submitted to them, and about a couple weeks later, I got a call from the art director and said they got it and they wanted to try me out. They were interested in it. Again, like how does that happen? When does that ever happen? So they said, we're interested, I was lucky also to still be in New York. They're in New York, downtown. Come on down to our office. And but we'd like to try you out. We just brought back Garbage Pail Kids. So Garbage Pail Kids, the biggest, again, for any listeners, they were the biggest trading card series in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Every kid collected them without any advertising. That's how big they were. There was no commercials for them anywhere. The kids knew about them. They stopped making them. The Topps company stopped making them in the late, like 89. And so they were gone. And Topps was bringing them back in 2003. They brought them back. So this is around 2008. I submitted my own cereal parody. And they said, hey, we brought back Garbage Pail Kids, Joe. Why don't you try some as a test run? We'll do a couple cards. And so I was like, of course, yeah, I'll do that as a test. I did that as a test. They passed on my serial killer cards. Like they just didn't want to do it. But they kept me for the Garbage Pail Kids and the essential wacky packages that they brought back as well. So, which is great because then I got to release those serial killer cards on my own. My wife and I set up our own little mini company and released these little mini cereal box 3-packs that you can get that are.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are super awesome. So did the wacky packages come back around the same time as the Garbage Pail Kids, or because oh wow, I thought that was a little after.
No, it wasn't. It was like 2 years after. It was like 2003 was Garbage Pail Kids, and 2005 Wacky Packages came back. Which is funny because if you think about it, like both of those were dormant for maybe only like 13 years, 15 years, and like so they've been okay. So we're basically about the same length away as when they came back. 2005, we're in 2021, actually longer now. So it's like kind of feels like they never went away, but. So yeah, it's all been fun. I mean, it's one of the most, grateful jobs. I don't take it for granted. It's a job you can work at. I mean, as an artist, you work at home, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah. You can play any shows you want and watch so many movies or listen to movies at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I noticed that if sometimes I'll try to binge TV series in here, but it has to be something with a lot of talking and it has to be in English. Like there's no subtitle. Like you can't read subtitles, so I can't watch like Narcos or anything like that. And it's like,
I know. I was saying that every time. It's like, growing up, my favorite genre is horror and all that stuff. But it's like those are the most like, they're all atmospheric, like 10 minutes of just atmospheric scenes with sounds. And it was like, all right, I got to pick. But, there's still plenty to watch. There's like, God, we live in an age where this content for viewing or listening.
Yeah. I mean, you could just go back and rewatch HBO series for,
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So yeah, it's been really great just working that way. And, especially after coming out of that, like I was mentioning that job when I did the storyboarding, stuff, that was like I had to go into an office. It was still a studio with a bunch of quirky artists all making jokes and cracking, but I had to take the subway to an office and sit there behind an art table and draw. I'm making it sound so, but it was like we're drawing till like 1 or 2 in the morning, only to come home, and it wasn't like my own thing. As an artist, usually artists want to have their own thing to say, as opposed to drawing. I was drawing Lipton iced tea bottles and all that kind of stuff. What's in your Capital One credit cards? But it's so funny because the some of the commercials and stuff that I was working on, I've actually then parodied. Like I would do Olive Garden storyboards, and then now doing Wacky Packages, I get to do the same thing, all those skills, but I'm doing like the parody version, Olive Glutton.
That's amazing.
Like when you're here, you're a fatty. And just a fat guy shoving spaghetti down his throat.
Do you get to come up with the ideas for that stuff, or is there writers like for the Garbage Pail Kids names and themes and the Wacky Packages stuff, or do you get to be involved in that, or is it mostly? Yeah, no, it's myself and there's 3 other artists on the Garbage Pail Kids that do the retail sets. Retail meaning like the boxes that are sold in Target and Walmart twice a year. We get to come up with our own concepts. We get to come up with our own names.
If yeah, oh yeah. So it's good. And if we ever have and it's great because myself and the other guys, we have our own Facebook thread that we have a rapport. We talk to each other. It's as if we're in a virtual studio, and we're like, hey, why don't you just change this to this, and it makes it funnier. Or I need a name for this, guys. Can you help me? And so we help each other. But I think that basically happened through time since we've been there for so long. The four of us, in the beginning, Tops would maybe give us some names, but I don't really remember that happening so much. So with Wacky Packages, it's a little bit different where there's a lot other writers, like cartoon guys, but they're not maybe say as polished in the final rendering of paintings, but they can come up with really great gags. So there's a lot of guys that submit like doodles, comic, like very, very, quick, sketchy type stuff, but it's a great gag for a product.
Sure.
I recently did a Frosted Flakes gag, and it was somebody else's joke. They wrote Frosted Steaks, so it's like not steak food, but steak as in a vampire getting stabbed in the heart with a steak. So we'll take things like that from other writers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool to know that it's that it's collaborative like that. Like I seem to remember when I was a kid. I haven't been buying any of the ones that you do because I collect too much shit as it is.
I hear you.
But I seem to remember back in the day it'd be like one image would be used and have 3 different names. Have you guys eliminated that, or does that still kind of happen?
Yeah, we still do that. It's usually basically 2 names. It's an A card and then a B card. Very rarely is there a C card. Usually that's saved for when they do like their New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con promo sets. But I guess that's still the way to get the kids to shell out or I should say the 40-year-old grown men to buy the extra card.
Dude, totally. Because I'm sure that's who's buying them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But actually there's a big female following now, and there's all these incredible, awesome Facebook fan groups for Garbage Pail Kids. There's even just a specific Women of Garbage Pail Kids, and it's all ladies collecting it. There's about over 100. And there is a definite definite plan or I don't know what the word is, goal, mission to get kids back into it, young kids. And there are kids. We get letters, actual real old school letters from kids, which is funny because you get an actual letter from a kid with their own hand-drawn drawings.
That's great.
Because we have these books that have just come out from R.L. Stine, huge popular author from the Goosebumps series.
Sure.
He just wrote some books. There's a
Garbage Pail books? Yeah, there's 2 out right now. A third one's coming out. Wow.
In the fall. I did the covers for them. He wrote. R.L. Stine came from comedy, so he used to write joke books, and then he got into the horror, Goosebumps, and but now it's kind of like he got to go back and do all his funny weird offbeat jokes and stuff with this, and so I got to do the covers for those books, and it's for middle school kids, so it's actual chapter books. With illustrations inside by another artist, Jeff Zapata, who was the art director at Topps, who brought me in way back in 2009. He doesn't do anything for them now, but he does the interior for these books. And so, there's a kind of a sentiment to get kids back into it. There's that. And there's some other items coming out. I wish, again, there's so much stuff coming out that's not going to happen until like in the fall or even next year that I wish I could talk about, but it's more geared it's definitely geared for kids. Playable stuff for kids. Yeah.
I saw that there's like a TV thing going on, and
yeah. Well, that's another thing that's HBO Max just optioned for a Danny McBride to do a Garbage Pail Kid animated series. Awesome. That's more of a we don't have a date time on that or anything. It's more like okay, he's probably going to set up a kind of a show outline or an animatic or something. And then it's HBO basically gave the permission to do it, and then if it's good, they'll greenlight it, and then it'll be bought. Although I think he's got a very good. He's got like 3 different series maybe with HBO. I'm sure more than likely it'll happen. It's just a matter of when.
I seem to remember they made like a live action movie in the 80s.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's that. Yeah. Yeah. The horrible. Yeah. It's one of those like, so bad.
Cash-ins.
Yeah. Cash in. Is it bad? Is it a cult following? Yeah, you could say that. But yeah, it's pretty bizarre. It's pretty out there. It's like one of those kids movies that wouldn't really be made in a kids movie. You wouldn't make that for a kids movie nowadays. But it was, yeah. Hopefully something like that never happens again.
Yeah.
Or in that style, in that format.
Do you work for Topps, or are you contract? Are you like a freelance contractor?
It's I would say I'm a freelancer, but I work every day. It's as if I'm full time. Like I talked to the VP of licensing, global licensing at Topps, Ira Friedman, who's like the mastermind behind all the licensed products, the cereal that I've done, Garbage Pail Kid cereal, Garbage Pail Kid Monopoly boxes. I talk to him every day. Like, I am not joking. Every day. If I don't talk to him in a day, then it's added on like twice or three times the next day. So which is also another reason why I usually just opt out of video call, because it's like I really wouldn't be getting work done because I have to just like stay in audio.
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
But yeah, so I'm basically working. I would consider myself full time, even though I'm a freelance artist with Topps. Yeah. So very rarely do I do anything outside of Garbage Pail Kids or Wacky packages. So it has to be something super special or like just my own thing. I think that I want to get out there, like a painting, my own painting, which is still rare or hard for me to find the time to do that.
I know. I feel you, man. Like, I love painting. I just don't have enough time to actually paint. Dude, it sounds like that's kind of like a dream gig. Like, to be a full-time freelancer on one company with like two products. Like, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine something better than that. For people like us,
Right. Our generation, our time. I mean, so you grew up garbage. I mean, you're my age bracket, right? I mean, you grew up with Garbage Pail Kid.
I was a little older than, like, the things that I missed based on age were like, I didn't get into Transformers because I was a little too old. I didn't get into like Masters of the Universe for the same reason.
Okay, yeah, but you probably.
But I did like the Garbage Pail Kids because as an artist, I was drawn to that for sure. And like things like Mad Balls, I liked because I started collecting toys. When I stopped being a kid who played with toys, within a couple years, I started collecting toys. And so, I would always buy Mad Balls and stuff like that. So I was into the Garbage Pail Kids, but not like, like I wasn't going to see the movie. And was there a cartoon series in the 80s too? Yeah. See, I wouldn't have been watching that, but I would have definitely had the cards and stuff like that for sure.
Well, you definitely wouldn't have watched the cartoon series because it never aired, although it has come out on DVD since then. But yeah, the reason for it not airing was parent groups actually wrote enough letters to have advertisers pull from it and have CBS not air it, which is the first and I think only time that it has ever happened where a show was canceled before it ever aired. And if you watch it, there's nothing like the cartoons that have been on for kids since then, like Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead, Family Guy. It's like, this was nothing. I was like, what? But no, I get it because it was kind of the gross out. The art is very appealing. The fact that it was something for kids and it was so outlandish didn't talk down to kids. It was really. It really stood out. I could see the appreciation for someone who was older, not necessarily buying it, but thinking, they could tell that there was something cool there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I was, like I said, like I was like skateboard graphics guy, so I could look at something like Garbage Pail Kids in the exact same way. It's basically the same thing. It's like a single image piece that's telling you a story, and I mean that's always been where my main interest is with stuff like that. I remember when I was, in the 70s, when I was like a little kid, that the next door neighbors were like 2 to 5 years older than me. So they had all the Wacky Packages stuff like all over their bedrooms. And I remember thinking that stuff was amazingly cool. Cause I was like really into like monsters and stuff when I was very young. My dad built those monster models, those Aurora monster models, and they were in my room, and I loved horror stuff. And so anything, even as early as 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, like I could see Wacky packages, and it was on brand for the things that I found interesting. Like, especially because of like my dad he was like a hot rod guy, and so like Rat Fink was one of the first things that I glommed onto as an art thing. And so anything that was in that realm of like gross out stuff, I was all the way into it from the time I was way younger than I should have been. So,
No, sure. No, absolutely. And I think, it's funny because Wacky Packages definitely was the father of the Garbage Pail Kids. They were the ones that Topps really was, making some money off of. And I remember seeing them as well when I was younger, and finding them like fascinating because like, how is this? I've never seen that before, a parody of something, and of course the sticker thing. But then of course my generation, when the Cabbage Patch Kid thing came out, it was like, wow, all right, here's something Garbage Pail Kids making fun of. This is our revolution. Forget a political revolution. Our world is about toys, and all we're being dominated by is Cabbage Patch. So this was incredible, and to see that be done for kids was just like insane. And so Topps, do you know the history of that, how Garbage Pail Kids were made because of the Wacky Pack? Because they did a Wacky package. By the way, I mentioned this. I'm just going to mention that I did a documentary on Garbage Pail Kids.
Okay.
I produced and directed, and we got the original artists and creators involved who worked on it at Topps, and it's on Amazon. But anyway, I'm
going to watch that tonight. I'm going to watch that tonight.
I wish I could give you a link. We don't even have the link anymore, but it's on Amazon. You're going to have to do a search for it. It's called 30 Years of Garbage, 30 with a 30. But what we tapped into was the story was Wacky Packages were still out at the time in the 80s, and they did a Wacky Package card of the Cabbage Patch Kids called the Garbage Pail Kid. And for whatever reason, they just never printed that card and decided, let's just make an entire series of that. And because they couldn't get because Topps, there's a trading card company, bubblegum trading card, and they wanted to do the license for Cabbage Patch Kids. They wanted to get the actual, to do real Cabbage Patch cards. And for whatever reason, Cabbage Patch, they just said no. So I said, all right, okay, we're going to go this way.
Guess what? We're going to make it rough on you then.
Yeah. Of course, they had to pay. Eventually, they got sued and they had to pay. But it's still, sure. whatever they had to pay, they made so much. They made more than baseball cards at the time. Wow. That's how big Garbage Pail Kids were, not just for the kids across the country, but for the actual company of Topps. It was like, boom, like insane. So... but then it was a quick end, for them. But yeah, that's, it's kind of a really fascinating story to be told, because when we talk to these original creators, these guys were coming from the underground comics world. John Pound and Tom Bunk, Art Spiegelman, these guys were cartoonists, underground comic book artists. Basically, they came up with the idea. So if you think of it like that, it's okay. It's not really a corporation, creating this thing. It's these guys, just cartoonists doing it. So that's why I was fascinated. It just happened to work for Topps, or were freelanced out by Topps to do it. So
yeah, I mean, it was all very Mad Magazine, and it definitely right in my wheelhouse for stuff. And when I saw that you were doing that work, I was like, yes, you go, Joe Simko. It's like, I'm like a total, every single professional artist is, we do suffer a little bit from professional jealousy where we're like, I want that. But at the same time, like, I'm so excited to see my artist friends get gigs like that I'm just like, fuck yeah, like super stoked.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. No, I know. I mean, yeah, listen, I know how you feel. There's artists out there that are just incredible. And I'm like, I wish I did that. Or, I just, it's healthy to have that, just that was it healthy
it's like a professional jealousy almost, but it can be a positive thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Well, because it makes you want to be like, kind of feel like, all right, I got to one up this guy now, and then he one ups you, and it's like, because how else are you gonna get better? I mean, you can get pretty stagnant and stale after a while if everyone's kind of like, we had some artists, I'm not going to say the names, for Garbage Pail Kids, this is years ago, that just, they were bringing in so many different outsiders that it was like if they're getting in, then I don't have to work as hard. I could just do my cards, and like, this is a job to me, then I'll just whip them out really quick. But now that we've kind of like sifted through and we've focused on like a core group of guys now, it's like, so like when I mentioned those other guys, Brent is his name, Dave Gross, and there's another Joe, he goes by Smokin' Joe. We show each other our paintings before we send them off the tops. So we're like, oh man, okay, I got to do mine a little better, or again, we'll help each other improve it. So if you're around guys that are just as good or better, it can only help you.
Oh yeah, for sure, that's true. And that was one of the things when I was in video games and I was first in. My first job in video games, it was basically illustration work. It wasn't a lot of computer work, and it was a team of like 3 of us, and yeah, we pushed each other every day to come up with funnier and funnier stuff or more interesting things. Like it was that is the thing I do kind of miss about working freelance at home by myself is I'm just left to my own devices. I don't have that push.
That's the thing. I know. I always imagine hopefully one day like there's some like program we could do like these virtual studios where you get like artists. You have to get a bunch of giant like LED screens around in your room, and like you just imagine you're in a studio because you can all be on like a Zoom at one time, not for recording purposes, just for like
just to like hang out.
Like while you're drawing, while everyone's working on their own projects,
I mean,
you can pay attention to each other or not. Just someone's there, and you can, hey, dude, remember that?
I mean, I guess you could do that now at this point. The way the pandemic forced Zoom to up the ability of their service so much that it's like,
it accelerated, right?
So like huge amount for sure. So aside from, I mean, like you said, like you're pretty much full-time top. So, I mean, are you do your serial killer stuff a little bit as well as other projects? You still doing rock posters at all or anything?
The rock poster stuff, it's amazing because I've been out of rock posters for such a while now.
Same.
Yeah. Okay. Same with you. All right. Yeah. Because I mean, that was like at the time when I was getting into it, it was like, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do. My eyes were open. Like gigposters.com, when that website launched, I don't know exactly when it launched, but when I jumped on it seemed early because they had, I think, a list of numbered pages of the artists that were involved on it. I'm going off a little topic, but I'll get back.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, so it's like, maybe there was like, it's like alphabetical list of names who are involved, and there's maybe like 5 pages or 6 pages of artists. And I signed up, and you were one of the guys on there. I remember contacting you because I think did you even know Clay, the guy who started Gig Posters, or were you just were on early?
Clay sent me an email and he was like, oh, I was looking through the internet and I found your page with all these really cool like punk rock flyers. I am starting for school. I'm starting this website that archives posters and flyers from rock shows, and I want to know if you want to put your stuff up there. So I was like, yeah, sure. And then I was one of the first like 5 people to sign up for the message board, and then it wasn't really going anywhere, so I didn't go there very often. And then like 6 months later, I logged back in to put more stuff up, and I couldn't remember my login, so I started a new user account, and then that was the one. There was still only like 8 or 9 or 10 people that used that message board. And so I really was there from the very beginning of that website.
Yeah, you were. Okay, yeah, you were there.
That was like 2001, I think. 2001, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so I think I might have been on 2002 or something. And I'm like, yeah, there's like 6. And so, yeah, you were one of the first people I contacted. I don't know what I even messaged. I just said, oh, this is cool. You got cool stuff. You had cool posters. And I mean, I was just getting inspired by the guys that I liked on there, and so locally in New York, I was able to, I guess any city has their own core group of bands and stuff, but New York had so many great clubs and bands at that time in the mid '90s. No, actually, I moved here in the mid '90s. This is early 2000s.
Yeah.
All the clubs still existed. CBGB still existed. But there were so many. So I was able to just easily see so many bands. It's like, hey, you guys want a poster? Yeah, sure. We'll give you $30. And, luckily, and I would post it on the gig posters, and it grew from there. And then when I was able to start getting like actual signed bands, I was getting Guar, Misfits, which were my favorite bands growing up.
Yeah.
I felt like, I'm just going to do, this is great because I was getting away from the comic stuff, which you mentioned earlier. I was like, I collected comics, but I was out of comics by college. I wasn't collecting them, and I didn't really have any desire to draw them because of just the time-consuming writing aspect of drawing frame by frame. Like you said, that single image, that nice beauty shot is something crazy, and that could be a story by itself. And big posters fill that void, that void. To do that, to do a poster for a band, you could do anything.
Yeah, you just get a nice big splash page to do whatever you want with on,
Oh, I know. And so, it really did fill a lot of, but it couldn't really keep the income growing as much just because of the nature of it. You could do that. I was doing shorts for tours.
Yeah.
When I did the Warped Tour, this is a funny story. So a fellow buddy of ours, gig poster artist Gerald Tidwell.
Your audio's something's going on with your audio.
Okay. I'm not going to move or say do anything right now. Am I clear or not?
No, it sounds like you're in a tin can all of a sudden.
I wonder if I should move around or.
I don't know if it's an internet connection or. Yeah, it's not really.
Okay, let me check my settings.
Okay.
Still here. I'm just gonna refresh it, I guess.
Yeah. See if even if we have to disconnect and reconnect, that would be.
Okay. We can pause our sentence and splice it back. I don't know.
Here, do you want to try maybe jumping out of the meeting and then jumping back in the meeting? See if that helps.
All right, you want me to do it on my end?
Yeah. Just we'll do that. We'll try that first.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna hit leave and come back.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Mike. Yeah. All right. Well, sorry about that. I guess. Oh. Okay. Cool. So I was gonna say so when I was doing the gig poster stuff, it was enough to bring some money in, but the income wasn't as strong as it could be. But then I was thinking, all right, I'm growing something here because I got a job to do the
that's
Warped
better.
Tour,
there we go.
Artwork for the festival in
no problem at all. I mean, it's fine. I have to edit all this stuff anyway, so it's not
Warped Tour,
any trouble at all.
Something that doesn't even, I think, exist anymore. But it was like one of the probably was the largest traveling rock festival across the U.S. At the time in the 90s and early 2000s. A story with that was a buddy of ours, fellow gig poster artist Gerald Tidwell, and crazy riot guy. He's I've been a friend of his since before gig posters.
I remember that.
We did a show at CBGB's gallery in 2001, like the summer. Yeah, really early in 2001. And we met up then. So and then we both were like having the same, euphoria and just ecstatic excitement of gig posters. I'm like, this is our calling. This is what we're meant to do. And between that, he hooked me up with a job of all things with Stephen Baldwin, the actor. Wanted to do a comic book series, a Christian comic book series. Neither of us are really Christian faith. I mean, we're I don't know what his denomination is. I'm just other. Yes, I don't know. I mean, I went to Catholic school for 12 years, which means I'm not really Christian. But so I was like, but it's all right. That was okay. I was doing a comic, so he wanted to do a comic book. So there's an example of a job where, all right, I'm doing comic books. But Gerald's like, all right, and Stephen Baldwin wants to do this comic book for and he's got me, but I need you to come in and help draw some of this stuff, and he'll ink it. Gerald will ink it, and so Gerald had me go to visit him in Kentucky in his studio. He had a house. He lives in a completely different setup now, but he lives in a compound. Have you been there? I've seen photos. It looks amazing, incredible. But he had a house, like a 2-story house, and then behind it, the equivalent of a 2-story house in his backyard. That was just his art studio. He's a madman. He built the whole thing, and so I stayed there for a few days and to work on this comic book for Stephen Baldwin.
He lives in the compound now.
Which, by the way, they didn't have a story, and I'm just a side note.
I have not, but I've seen so much video and photos of it.
The church was the villain.
Amazing.
In this it was like, just like this giant evangelicist, television promoter. Anyway, so we're working on that, and I'm just, in the mornings I check my emails on his computer, and I guess I was part of like a group email that went out from the operations manager of the Warped Tour saying, hey, we're looking for artists to be the next, I guess, the artist to do the poster, t-shirts, this artwork that we're going to use for skateboards and stage designs for the Warped Tour 2006. And Gerald wasn't on that email. His name wasn't on it. So I'm like, awesome. I got a Warped Tour invite. I'm going to do it. So I'm like working on my sketches. He's in the other room, and I hear him scream, I got my idea. I was like, what? He starts sketching up his own idea. I'm like, dude, you're hijacking my email. He's like, well, why not? So he's working on, like, all right. So he sketched up some concepts and ideas for Warped Tour. And I did some concepts, and we both submitted them in, along with whoever else was on the email. I think it was a blind CC email, so I didn't know the other. And then oddly, again, it was like maybe the next morning or a day later, because I was only at Gerald's for a week. I got the email reply, hey, Joe, you're the man for the job. And Joe was staring at the email. He actually said, and speaking to when you were talking about jealous, he says, I'm jealous. Because it was a rare thing. I never thought, like, Gerald to me was always the guy I looked up to. He was the guy who I would be inspired. I would say borrow, some art stylings from, homage, as they would say, to the point where he'd be like, dude, you're ripping me off. Because like he's got that style that's just like, that's the style for rock posters. And,
yeah, he is like a style that's of all the people who really base their work around skulls and kind of aggressive stuff. He's figured out a way to do that, but also make it appealing to a larger demographic. Like, my stuff's just dark, and it's meant for, like, not even that it's dark. My stuff is meant for people who like hardcore punk rock. You know what I mean? Like, and like his stuff, it's like he manages to have a bigger demographic for his work. Aside from the fact that no other human being works harder at their art in a more joyous way than Gerald. Aside from that, like, yeah, the guy's an inspiration.
Have you had him on your? You have to have him on your show if you.
Oh yeah, I did. He was like episode 6.
Okay, I was gonna say.
And he drew the whole time. He wouldn't even look at me and talk. He was drawing the entire time that we were talking. I was like, you son of a bitch.
See, that's what I feel bad, because I'm sketching, but I'm that's why I'm off. That's why I'm also off video for you. I feel bad that I'm sketching and
don't.
But I want you to know, I'm here with you. I'm focused.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I'm teasing. Like, he was there with me too. It's just, you can't stop that guy. He's an unstoppable force.
You describe him right on. Yeah, joyous and hardworking, and like, I think it's not only like he has that cartoony aspect of his art, which is what I'm drawn to, because I'm a little more on the cartoonier side. But it's the guy himself. He's the guy. That's what people are buying him. His personality. So, but yeah, it was great because, doing that, I was like, wow, I beat the Michael Jordan for a day. I got the Warped Tour job, but he's awesome. So yeah, so I got that. Warped Tour was great. They flew me out there, but then it's like, the job's done. nothing, okay, now what? It's like, I was still doing a couple gig posters here and there, but eventually I just, I was searching to find something, even doing a gig poster for a band, where I could pretty much, you can do whatever you want, but you gotta keep the theme of the band going. I still want my own thing. So that's when I was working on my serial paintings, my two-headed Tony the Tiger and zombie Captain Crunch stuff, and then thought this could be a good card series. Sent it to Topps, and that was 2009. And like I said, so over 10 years now, I've been doing the Garbage Pail Kids. I have been asked to do gig posters before, since then and in between, but it's more just trying to find the right project, and I want to be into it. I want to give the justice that they deserve, and not treat it like, oh, okay, I have a job. There is a gig poster that I have just completed. It's actually in the hands of the operations managers now. I don't even know if I can say it, but let's just say, I'll say it. It's for Metallica. It's for their 40th anniversary show that's in San Francisco in December.
Wow.
So, that's something I would crawl out of, I would peel off the gig posters sheet of pencils for, I would, okay, all right, I got to do something, and so when I'm doing this, of course, I'm looking at Metallica posters that have been done in the past from incredible artists, and I'm like, oh man, this is not me. So I'm already getting like, just the pressure of trying to do it right, because I am more on the cartoony side. When I do stuff for Gwar, they are a definite hard heavy metal band, but very cartoony.
Yeah.
Misfits is they're like my top band, and you can play around with that, the punk rock, the very 50s B monster movies type stuff. So I feel comfortable with that. Metallica, it's technically still in their hands. I mean, who knows, if the plug gets pulled, then this whole thing is going to be mute, but hopefully not. And it's cool also because it's coming from the operations manager, and the band themselves are reviewing it, which usually is not the case. With Gwar, I had the band. With Misfits, I had the band. But sometimes dealing with posters, you're dealing with maybe the promoter of a club, and the band doesn't even care or see what you've done.
Right.
So
yeah, I have, in the last decade, I think I've done like 3 gig posters, and the last one I literally just did for a music festival that happened like 2 weeks ago. And I got completely what happened was the merch companies came to me and they were like, well, we saw these posters you did for the bands that we have the merch rights to, like, why don't you just start doing this as t-shirts for us instead of on these posters? And so then I just went over onto the merch side for like a decade, and
oh wow, okay, yeah, the merch side, that's also another avenue. Yeah, the merch, which I assume the band has to approve at some, they have to cross their eye at some point.
Yeah, what happens with that generally is like, they do like a cattle call. There'll be like 5-6 artists will be like, okay, send us 3 designs for, Rancid or whatever, and then you send in your ideas, and then the management looks at it and he's like, okay, I can tell you that these ones are going, the band's going to want to see, and then the band will look at everything and they'll go, we want this one, this one, this one, and that's kind of how that all goes. But that industry's kind of been, the prices you can charge for that work, they've been crushed. They've been absolutely crushed. And so,
oh really? Even do they still have the kill fees for you? Because I remember doing a little bit of too, and like, at least if they didn't get used, you get like $300 or something. At least.
I wish I could say that was a regular common practice, but it is not common. It used to be common. It's not now.
Oh boy.
A lot of times it's something I have to ask for. Like if it's a drawing that's going to take me 30 hours, I'll be like, you need to promise me a kill fee, because there's no way I'm putting 30 hours of time into something that nobody's going to use. Like, it's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Well, we're at that stage where we can ask for that. A lot of younger artists probably just,
Yeah.
don't want to, or just, just the glory of saying they did it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And
I
having
mean,
it
I
in their
remember when that was me.
portfolio.
I remember when that was me, just the glory of doing it. That was kind of what the gig posters thing was, is it was like, you just sell them on the
It
back end to
was.
get your money. So it was really just, it was a weird business model. And then I learned to hate it because I was like, I have so many goddamn stacks of posters that I was like,
Right.
and then it
Right.
got saturated, got oversaturated with artists making posters. And I was like, yeah, this isn't for me anymore.
Yeah, I missed out going to when gig posters, they started doing their conventions, the flat stock stuff too. I think like by the time, I guess when they were doing it, I just didn't have the money to travel, and then when I was like, I finally maybe scraped some together. I remember like, oh, it's sold out, or just, then it just stopped. But it's okay because it's yeah, I'm not really doing too many gig posters these days.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean,
no, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, like back to what you were saying, like, yeah, I am on Garbage Pail Kids full time, finding a way to do my own stuff. Like I said, I am doing that one Metallica poster. I am trying to I am embarking on a project that is just for me, and it's going to be in the comic world, but I'm doing it in a different way now, where I'm looking to actually have it published properly, as opposed to self-publishing or through an independent publisher. So I can talk more about that when this thing will probably be coming out like later next year. So
yeah,
I don't want to go over, not so much like, I don't want to keep it, I don't want to jinx it or just not reveal too much. It's just, I don't have the answers for it yet until it's really properly done. But yeah, so I'm working on some stuff finally on my own. But the Garbage Pail Kid thing, it's not so much doing the cards. It feels like I'm working on different projects because of all the license stuff that comes my way.
Yeah, sure.
Like I said, doing calendars and book covers, and it's not just a kid drawing a kid on a card in a single pose. I got to do these full scenes and different kind of themes, that makes it feel different and fresh. It really is the word.
Yeah, I feel like I look through your Instagram. I follow you on Instagram, and I look through your Instagram, and it's like, oh wow, candy bars and sodas and like all these different projects that are like licensed, that are licensed material for other things other than the cards. And I'm like, man, what a fucking great gig, man. Like, just so proud of you.
And that's, no, thank you. That's actually something also, even like in college, I'd always wanted to kind of be like a Willy Wonka and get into the candy world and the sugar and cereal stuff. I mean, I am actually talking to a company, FYE, on doing some actual consumable products.
Oh, nice.
Based on my art. So that to me is the untapped, and I feel like I shouldn't even be saying it because I don't want it to be a thing now, but the food art is like, because the whole vinyl thing, I remember in 2000, seeing like some of the first vinyl toys, Crazy Children from Michael Lau. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. But Kozik, of course, tapped into all that massively, and all the guys, all the top guys in gig posters. But, and I was trying to get in there. I was calling companies. I'm like, 2000, 2001. Toy Tokyo is down here in Manhattan. I would go to those guys, and now I'm familiar with the owners live at Toy Tokyo, and I was trying to find a way to get Kid Robot, but nothing was catching with me. I never got a vinyl toy until, Topps puts out Garbage Pail Kids based on characters I've designed, but it's still like their property. But I'm like, that the toy thing seems like, okay, it's still happening and it's huge, but to me, food and candy is the next, art place, I think, for artists to venture into, because it's a little bit trickier, harder. You got to pass a lot of like FDA laws and stuff like that. But
yeah, like I was saying though, like we just had a little technical difficulty for people listening, but like I was saying, yeah, like all the microbrew companies, like doing custom special labels, like, so yeah, of course it seems obvious that I don't know, that brings up a weird subject of art is more important to commercial endeavors than ever before, and artists have a harder time getting paid well to do it than ever before, which is super fucking weird to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, this is nothing that's going to be new to you, but yeah, art is everywhere, or, you need art to live, really. I mean, it's like
Every single place you look and everything you look at was designed by somebody, whether it's your car interior or the bottle of Clorox in your laundry room or, your pants, like everything was designed by a creative person. And that,
that's
everything.
Yeah. No, that goes. Absolutely. No, well, that goes into, that's the bigger question of what is art, it's like, art and science is like the world to me, it's like those two combined is like, that's the world, it's just art and yeah, graphic design, everything's a design. So,
yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's things as artists that we can say or not say. You don't have to have any deep meanings in art.
No,
but
I never do.
Yeah.
I just like to make stuff that looks cool. That's all. That's my entire mission.
But then that's the meaning in itself, and that what makes somebody who might feel down or low just a little bit more happier about seeing something cool. Make them live a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah, a somewhat common thing that we have is that you do the 80s, kind of revival of the Garbage Pail Kids, and last year I worked on the revival of Micro Machines.
Oh, nice!
And I designed a bunch of cars for Micro Machines for the comeback, and then like literally was like the pandemic happened and it kind of disappeared. They were trying to hire me full time. They liked the work that I did, and it was like, and then I was trying to decide if I was going to do that, and then the lockdown happened, and then that choice was made for me.
Oh no!
I mean, it's fine. I probably wasn't going to go to work there full time because I do not want to commute in LA traffic, and it would have been literally the worst commute you could come up with in Los Angeles. And I was like,
you couldn't have done this at home? You couldn't have worked through sending files?
Well, I was, and then they were like, okay, we would prefer that you were on staff and were in here every day to do this. And I was like, could I be in there 2 days a week? And we were kind of in that negotiating period because I was like, I could probably commute a couple days a week and then work from home. But I mean, it would have literally been an hour and a half and 2 hours each direction. So 3 to 4 hours a day of commute. And I was like, no way. No way I'm giving up that much of my life. It's just no way.
Oh, wow. So are they continuing on though? Still doing the rebirth of the Micro Machines?
The stuff came out, like the series 1 came out, and I had done all the way through like series 4. And then I kind of just lost contact with them. And I think the guy that I was working with over there is no longer there. I don't know what is going on with all of that. I contacted them at some point and I was like, hey, can I get samples? Because I knew that they were out, and they were like, we don't even have samples. Anything that you can see online or in Target just happens to be there. It was the pandemic made everything so weird that, and then, I started working for Kozak at Kid Robot on contract too. And so that's kind of my big contract gig is with Kid Robot. And so
what are you doing? What do you do there?
I'm not allowed to say.
Okay.
It's like, okay. I can tell you off air, but I cannot tell the world what I do because the licensor does not want people knowing that information. So, after we're done recording, I'll tell you what it is. Because I know you'll keep a secret because this is, it's the
that's
same.
All I do.
It's like, that's our life.
Well, you like it. I mean, at least it's something that you can, hopefully you'll like it, you dig it, and you can work at home.
Yeah, no, it's really cool work. It's really cool work. And it's, it's one of those things, if I could tell people, they'd be like, fucking holy shit, dude. You know what I mean? But it's totally fine. I like working with Frank. We've always had a very good working relationship that has turned into a friendship over the years. And
oh, cool.
Great. He was in San Francisco forever, and my wife is a professional hairstylist, and so her personal hairstylist, my wife works in Hollywood movies and TV, and her personal stylist is in San Francisco. So we would go up from LA for her to get her hair done like every 6 months. And like, well, she was at the salon for like 4 hours. I'd just go over to Frank's studio and we just hang out and fucking talk shit,
Oh, nice.
have lunch, whatever.
Are you in LA?
Yeah. I've been in LA since
Okay.
95. Came
wow.
here for
Okay.
the video game industry. And then in 2010, I got out of the game industry and I've been full-time freelance for 12 years now.
That sounds like a similar path.
Yeah.
Because I moved to New York in 96 and then been in New York and been freelance for about 12, 13 years.
Yeah. I think a lot of us have a similar timeline like that,
Well,
or a
yeah.
similar age. And, you know, like, I mean, I want to go back a teeny bit to some of the stuff you said that you have going on. And I
Sure.
got to believe that your profile as an artist being associated with the Garbage Pail opens more doors for you to be able to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this comic. And then like a comic company would be like, okay, yes, we're you know what I mean? Like it's gotta help open doors that's such a high profile job.
I hope so. I think it's helped more so that at least I've been with it for what was it, 2009, so 12 years now. See, yeah, I can't do math. I can draw a picture.
Same.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the fact that I have enough, and also what's helped is again working with all the licensing partners that I have done jobs for, like the Monopoly game and the cereal and those are all different companies and they all have their own thing going on too. They have a million other licensings, but I have other, like I talk to these every time I have a new project, they all, I'm on the conference calls and I'm talking to them. So they all know me. So the contacts that I've built is just like, now I can actually just send an email and it's not like me having to explain myself. So yeah, I could probably say, oh, I work at Tops, but now it's an already in because I did a Garbage Pail Kid thing for them. And it's like, hey, I have my own thing. Could you do a version, but based on me? And so, I've gotten my own puzzles made, after the fact of a company did a thing for Garbage Pail Kids. So things like that. So.
Well, I mean, that's what you want. That, if you are a freelance illustrator artist, that is exactly what you want. I would say you want a big fat Rolodex, but a Rolodex doesn't even exist anymore. Anybody under the age of 40 wouldn't even know what a Rolodex is. You need a really big contact list in your phone.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. But it's helpful. And I mean, so that if anything, that makes me pursue. I still feel the pursuit or the chase as an artist for the higher thing.
Sure.
It's like okay, this one's going to be really tough to get. So even though back when you're first starting, just getting a comic book publisher to publish your book, like a legit like Dark Horse, DC, or Marvel, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
But now I'm at a point where it might be a little easier. Because I'm a Garbage Pail Kid artist, I'm gonna still make it hard for myself and go to somebody like it's more impossible. A higher end thing. It's like, let's make movies. Let's do a film or something like that.
Yeah, dude, I totally get that. Man, this has been a super great chat, man. I'm really, really happy to get to talk to you in person. We've been connected online for so long that just to sit and talk. You've been on my list of guests that I've wanted to ask for a while, and so I'm glad you were able to do it. And I totally appreciate your time. Thanks, Joe.
Oh, hey, man, I really appreciate it. Listen, if I'm ever the closest I get to LA is when I do the San Diego Comic-Con, which I know isn't close to LA, but if you ever go out that way, we should meet up. If you ever come to New York, let me know and we'll go out so I can see you visually. You'll have to see this whatever this avatar is that I have up here, this painting from a long time ago. But yeah, we should meet up in person. But thank you. This was awesome. This was great. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Just don't jump off right now. I'm gonna want to check my files and stuff. But thanks again for being a guest, Joe. It was great talking to you.
Great. Thanks, man. You too. Anytime, whatever.